Morning, it's April 22nd. This is To My Liberal Friends. I've taken about a week to 10 days off from this podcast, primarily because I posted on TikTok as well as on YouTube, and TikTok has decided that they're not going to show it to anybody, so my views went from about 900 down to 0, period. I had to decide whether I wanted to continue to do it, but some people have emailed me, and so once again, I will continue. Today's topic. One of the rules of any legislative body is that when your party has the majority, you get to call the shots. Your members are the chairman of the committees. Your leader decides which bills to bring to the floor of the legislative body, and you must muster the necessary votes to impose your will on the minority party. In the 2022 elections, Republicans took control of the House of Representatives. It was not the red wave that many predicted and left them with a very slim majority. Over the past 18 months, that majority has become even smaller, with the expulsion of George Santos, and Democrats won that special election, and the retirement of several other members. That means the Republicans have to have party discipline and stick together in order to govern. They also have to realize that the Senate is controlled by the Democrats by a small margin, and a Democrat sits in the White House, Joe Biden. Knowing those two facts and realizing they only control one of three legs of passing laws, you would think the Republicans would be banding together and extracting as much as possible from each law they pass. But alas, that's not the case. Looking at the Democrats, they have their far left wing in the Progressive Caucus and undoubtedly creates problems for the rest of the party, but when it comes to time to actually cast votes on the House floor, they're generally united and stick together. And that is certainly not the case for the Republican side of the aisle. At the end of the 22 elections, Republicans had a 222 to 213 edge. For the first time in years, Republican voters had outnumbered Democratic voters by over 3 million votes. They were now poised to elect the leader, Kevin McCarthy, as the new Speaker of the House. But then we have the Freedom Caucus, the far right wing of the Republican Party, enter the fray. This group of conservative legislators demanded concessions from Kevin McCarthy in order for him to win the Speaker's gavel. Vote after vote saw McCarthy fall just short of attaining his goal. In the end, he had to make a concession, allowing one member to file a motion to vacate the chair in order to gain the necessary votes to become Speaker of the House of Representatives. This is exactly what happened when Matt Gaetz, a member of Congress that was under investigation for having sex with an underage girl, filed a motion to vacate with the help of 8 Republicans and all Democrats, removed Kevin McCarthy as the Speaker. He said he did it because McCarthy used Democratic votes to pass the legislation. What hypocrisy! He used Democrats to remove McCarthy, and he did it because McCarthy wouldn't stop the ethics investigation, which he was powerless to do. And this gets to the root of the problem. The House Republican Caucus has this group, which I call the Freedom from Governing Caucus, who demand that every bill be approved by them or it cannot be passed. Because of the small majority the Republicans have, it makes it difficult to pass any legislation, while this band of right-wing nutjobs demands that their wishes be agreed to before any legislation can move forward. Now, as I said, I refer to them as the Freedom from Governing Caucus. They would actually prefer to be in the minority because then they don't have to govern. They can just rant and rave and say no to everything. They love going on the media saying how they're protecting the nation, while all they're doing is lining their own campaign coffers by people dumb enough to donate to them. We saw this play out again this past week with Speaker Mike Johnson attempting to pass the foreign aid bill. In the end, he had to use Democratic votes to overcome those within his own party who decided they did not want to fund the war effort in Ukraine. Now, there are some problems with the war in Ukraine. There are some following the money problems. But the bottom line, if we allow Putin to overrun Ukraine, he won't stop. Well, now a small group from this Freedom Caucus are threatening to file a motion to vacate the Speaker's chair and remove Mike Johnson. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, an absolute crackpot, has filed such a motion but has not yet triggered it. She has the support of 3 or 4 other members of the Republican caucus. Even the Democrats are tired of these shenanigans, and if put to a vote, they may provide the votes to keep Mike Johnson in the Speaker's chair. Basically what I'm saying is this far-right group of Republicans in the House who are holding up bill after bill from coming to the floor for consideration are really not interested in being in the majority. They know that in the minority they don't have to have responsibility for anything. They can just continue their antics and pretend they're defending the American public. What they're finally admitting is we don't know how to govern, so we'll block anything being considered until we get our way. Sort of like a 3-year-old pretending to hold its breath and hoping the parents will give them what they want. This is exactly what these members of Congress are, petulant little 3-year-olds. I would hope the voters in their district, as well as the voters in the district of those of the Progressive Caucus on the Democratic side, would wake up and finally start sending to Congress people who are willing to talk to each other, work with each other, and find solutions to the nation's problems. You don't get everything you want, but you work with both sides of the aisle to accomplish something that will benefit the American public. This has been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe on YouTube and encourage your friends if you like the podcast.